Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and today we have a special guest with us this morning, Garrett Hinton. He's the Chief Revenue Officer at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. Under his leadership, the museum not only has introduced groundbreaking exhibits, but also hosted a variety of cultural and educational events that bring the Bible to life in unique ways. So cool. Garrett, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, Keith. Good morning. Good to be with you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, for those out there, Garrett, that might not be too familiar with the museum, tell us a little about the Museum of the Bible.
Yeah. Well, we've been around since November of 2017, so we're just over 7 years old. That's crazy to say. 2017 doesn't feel like that long ago.
No.
But yeah, we're right in the heart of the nation's capital. So we're 2 blocks from the National Mall. We're about 3 blocks from the United States Capitol building. Over 400,000 square feet, 7 levels. Most people, so when you put it at that scale, most people go, wow, that exists somewhere? Where is that at? That's one of the tasks that we have, is getting the word out that we even exist. Frankly, even in our own city or in the little tri-state area here, most people don't know that we're here. But yeah, we're a world-class museum right here in our nation's capital.
That is incredible. I feel like what better place to have the Museum of the Bible than Washington, D.C.
That's right.
Was that intentional, right, or was that, do you know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was intentional. So there were a few cities on the list that made the short list for where we were going to place the museum. And DC won out. Praise be to God. So, that's why we're here and serving not just the community here, but the nation. And so it's vital importance to be in the nation's capital. Certainly it could be anywhere, but it's definitely the most important to be here. Of course, you're surrounded by lots of other museums and other cultural institutions here in DC as well. So it's a great fit.
That's awesome. And there is a lot happening this year, it seems like, at the museum. One in particular is something called All Creation Sings. That's a newer exhibit. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so I'll get in trouble calling it an exhibit. So I had to learn these things going into the museum world. So we call it an experience. So my peer, who's our chief curatorial officer, he would oversee all the exhibits and things like that. So this is an experience. So there's no artifacts or anything like that within this experience. But yeah, All Creation Sings has been a joy for me. It's the project that I really was able to help bring to life in partnership with a group called Creator. So that's the cool way that you spell creator. So you're dropping a vowel. So it's Creator. But Creator is a group of worship leaders that have come together and formed this organization, and we have a partnership with them. So All Creation Sings is a 7,000 square foot immersive exhibit that is inspired by Psalm 148. It's really bringing the viewer or the interactor from Genesis to Revelation, talking about worship. And what I find is, in sort of our maybe narrowed Western mindset, when we talk about worship or think about worship, we think about it as this one thing that we do, maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday, and it's so much more than that. Obviously, it is. As you read the Bible and it starts to unfold what worship actually is, it's way more than what we think about. And so it really unpacks a lot of that in about 30 minutes in a really vibrant and beautiful, immersive way, and immersive in the truest sense. So you're not just looking at a screen, you're literally surrounded with sound and visuals. It's one of the more impactful things that we see on our guest surveys when they leave. We see people in there worshiping, we see people in there weeping, it's just, it's impactful. Yeah, for me, even just to watch. It's one of the exciting things we have going on here.
Sounds very, very powerful. And now it's all starting to make sense why it's such a large building with, what you said, 7 floors or 7 levels?
Yeah, seven levels. So we have 6 sort of vertical floors and one sort of lower level or basement level. And the museum is unpacked in a few different ways. So we have a impact floor which is our second floor, and that talks about the Bible's impact on not just pre-America and America, but also the world itself, in all types of categories like politics and science, and the impact that the Bible has had on these things. Language, dates, calendars, I mean, you name it, right? Everyone is sort of borrowing capital from the Bible to some extent. The third floor is our narrative floor, our stories floor, where we talk about the Old Testament. We talk about the New Testament. We have a village that's a recreation of a first century Nazareth village. And everything that you would find in a typical village as well. So, and then our fourth floor is our history floor. So that's sort of the I can't get away from it. A Southernism, as I am from the South, the meat and potatoes of the museum, where you have the majority of the artifacts that people would come to expect from sort of a museum of the Bible. So ancient artifacts all the way through to present day, unpacking the Bible from pre-written language all the way to you've got the Bible on your phone now. Wow. Our fifth floor is our special exhibits floor. So there we have currently our Megiddo mosaic, which is the first time that it's, if you don't know what the Megiddo mosaic is, we can get into that maybe in a minute, but it's one of the most special exhibits we've had at the museum since it's opened. And it's here only through July. And then on our sixth floor is where we have definitely the best views of the city, our restaurant, our theater. So it's an amazing building, amazing place. It's an honor and a joy to work here.
So you mentioned all these things. It sounds incredible. For those that might be going there or haven't been to the museum, what would you say is like the most popular thing or the thing that someone should just go to see like immediately?
Yeah. So the most popular thing is on our third floor, and it is our Hebrew Bible walkthrough, where you are quite literally walking through the Old Testament. And I don't want to spoil anything, but sure. It is far and away everyone's favorite. It's the thing that most people, if you've been to the museum, it's the thing that you go to immediately when you enter the doors. You go straight to the third floor and you go and you get in line there to do that. So Hebrew Bible walkthrough is certainly the favorite. All Creation Sings is up there, but I will say, because of the specialness of the Megiddo mosaic, it has very quickly become sort of the second most popular and maybe first most popular, depending on the week, thing to see here.
Speaking of popular things, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is quite popular. But I understand the museum is going to host a theatrical adaptation of this?
Yeah. So this has been 3 years in the making. We actually have a partnership with a professional theater group out of South Carolina. They have a very special connection to Doug Gresham, who is the last living heir of C.S. Lewis's stepson. So over the past couple of years, we've done The Horse and His Boy, we have done Prince Caspian, and those have all been wildly popular. Of course, none of those are Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's obviously the most popular one, the one that most people would know in the United States, whether you're of a faith background or not. And so we are hosting not only the Washington, D.C. premiere of The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, but it would be the largest national production ever undertaken of The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe here in the nation's capital. And that opens February 21st and runs through April 19th.
Wow, that's so cool. So for listeners out there that maybe they aren't able to make the trip to DC, is there a way for them to connect or engage with the Museum of the Bible?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an app on both popular app stores. So that's a great way to interact with the museum. Of course, the website, the newsletter, things like that. We also have really great digital offerings as well, where people can interact with artifacts. They can go through our archive and see all the things that we have and whether it's on display or not. There's a lot of great ways to interact with the museum, even if you don't live in the United States or you don't have any plans to come to Washington, D.C. And the best way to do that is obviously through the App Store or through our website at museumofthebible.org.
Awesome. I'm sure a lot of people will love to kind of experience that if they aren't able to make it down to D.C. One other thing I'm curious about, and I saw an article about it, the revered Lincoln Bible. Is that going to be on display at the museum?
So We are. How do I say this? That is, we're working on these things, and so we'll set up another interview with our Chief Curatorial Officer, Dr.
Good.
Robert Duke, and he will give you the lowdown on all of that. But yeah, we're working on these things, along with a lot of other things in that category as well that I think people will be of interest.
Awesome. Very cool. And just within the last minute or so, what is your absolutely favorite part about the Bible Museum there?
Oh, gosh. So my background is in tourism and tour directing, and travel is it's got my heart a little bit. I love to travel, but more than that, I love to see people experiencing travel. And as such, when I talk to the people here, or I see the people experiencing Museum of the Bible, on the various floors and interacting with the various exhibits, and see them light up, see them create conversations within their families. You can see that context is being revealed to them, and it's opening up conversations within family units. There's nothing more rewarding or exciting than that. Seeing that spark reignite or get even brighter about biblical things. That's easily my favorite part about working here.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, for those out there wanting to get more information, you can go to museumofthebible.org. That's museumofthebible.org. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really cool to get to know better of the Museum of the Bible there.
My pleasure, Keith. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. And that is it for Morning Joy, where truth matters. Now, there's a couple things we can go, I should say. If you're listening on the radio and you want to be staying for the Holy Mass coming up next, perfect. Stay for it. Please pray for us. We will continue to pray for you. Otherwise, we are about to transition on over to our after show clubhouse, where we get to debrief from today's show. And best of all, hang out with you. That's right. It's all interactive. Just search GRN online or Morning Joy Radio on any of the social medias, and you'll find us. We recommend YouTube and or Rumble. They have the best communities out there, so make sure to do that. Otherwise, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern, here on Morning Joy.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.